we get into Tammy's relationship with Big Meech, Suarez, and Cuffy. Y'all ready? Let's go. When Tammy became a DEA informant, Tammy was and had been a longtime friend and associate of Demetrius Flannery. From here on out, we will call him Big Meech. Specifically, Tammy held Big Meech's power of attorney and life rights with creative control. The right to tell, and what that means is she has the right to tell and presumably sell Big Meech's life story for profit. Now, if she ain't his bottom bitch, what else would she be? Because ain't no way a person like Big Meech giving away his life rights to somebody, that is big money. That's big money. Ain't no way. Both Agent Harvey and Agent Cromer were aware of Tammy's relationship with Big Meech. Tammy testified that Big Meech was very well known, and it was not all unusual for Tammy to receive calls from total strangers asking about Big Meech. It was due to Tammy's relationship with Flannery that Tammy first came into contact with both Fidel Suarez and Cuffy. Meech put Tammy into communication and contact with Cuffy and Fidel Suarez, which I told you Suarez has ties to the cars and tails. In September 2011, Flannery requested Tammy's help coordinating delivery of a load of cocaine to be controlled by Suarez, who at that point was already in contact with Tammy. Tammy's credibility testified that she first met Suarez by telephone when Suarez contacted Tammy to ask how Flannery, Big Meech, was doing. Big Meech confirmed that he and Suarez were friends and that they had met in the county jail in Michigan. Although Tammy did not meet Suarez in person, she spoke with Suarez by phone and text. Additionally, Suarez sent Tammy a picture of himself. Sometime in 2012, Suarez asked Tammy if she knew someone who might want to buy some pills. According to Tammy, she was in the car with Agent Cromer during the first narcotic-related conversation with Suarez. Agent Cromer overheard the call and signaled to Tammy to say yes, she knew someone. Tammy was later contacted by an agent in California regarding Suarez. As with Suarez, defendant Cuffy first contact with Tammy was to see how Big Meech was doing in jail. Based on discussions with both Cuffy and Big Meech and Tammy, understood that Cuffy and Big Meech were friends. Emphasis on that. They were friends. Initially, Tammy's relationship with Cuffy was more of a business relationship, and communication centered more around Big Meech's life rights. And there's a reason for that. However, at some point, Big Meech asked Tammy to connect Cuffy with Suarez, and the relationship between Tammy, Cuffy, and Suarez turned to narcotics. Now, no, I'm not going to ruin it for y'all. I'm going to keep reading. Telephone toll records reflect that Suarez and Cuffy were in contact with each other on various devices from as early as March 2012. Through August of 2012. All right. Although telephone toll records show that during the same time period, Suarez and with less frequency, Cuffy were in contact with Tammy. There was no evidence that suggests that Tammy participated in any of the earlier telephone calls between Suarez and Cuffy. In July of 2012, Suarez invited Tammy to join him on a road trip to St. Louis without stating why he was going to St. Louis. Tammy declined. Telephone toll records reflect that Suarez contacted Tammy while Suarez was in St. Louis. At the evidentiary hearing, CS1 denied that Flannery had any involvement in any drug trafficking activities between Suarez and Cuffy, and denied that Tammy ever informed DEA agents that Big Meech was so involved. Tammy also denied that she ever informed DEA agents that Big Meech directed Tammy to contact Cuffy and Suarez. However, this aspect of Tammy's testimony is not credible for at least 3 reasons. Let me take a sip. Dang, I wish my algorithm wasn't jacked up right now. Y'all ready? We're going to get into those 3 reasons right now. Okay, first, Tammy's testimony conflicts with the testimony of TFO Lang, the DEA St. Louis agent who interviewed Tammy about the events of August 5th. TFO Lang credibly testified that during his debrief of Tammy on August 6th of 2012, Tammy told him that Tammy had facilitated the introduction of Cuffy and Suarez at Big Meech's request. So she trying to say he wasn't involved, but you done already told that he was involved. Second, Tammy's testimony also conflicts with the contemporaneous, I can't say that word. Anyway, 2011 notes of DEA Atlanta investigator TFO Smith, which were introduced into evidence. Okay, those notes are consistent with assertions in the affidavits regarding Big Meech's involvement in the suspected drug conspiracy. Finally, evidence presented at the hearing demonstrated that Tammy faced actual and perceptive threats when court filings in this case related to Tammy's identity. Tammy was receiving threats. Y'all tell me down in the comments who you think was threatening her. Specifically, on February 6th, 2015, all defendants in this case filed pretrial motions, including separate motions to suppress wiretap evidence. In March of 2015, Tammy reviewed the electronic dockets in this case and saw information contained in defendant Cuffy's suppression motion and responsive submissions by the United States that Tammy believed would potentially allow people familiar with circumstances to determine Tammy's identity. So somehow or another, this lady, done seen paperwork in Cuffy's file that would compromise her identity. Upon reviewing the court filings in this case, Tammy contacted her controlling DEA agent at the time, James Davison. Okay, Agent Davison testified at the evidentiary hearing that Tammy's expressed concern that motions filed in this case and the government's response to those motions contain specific detailed information that Tammy feared would reveal her identity or make it much easier for someone to figure out Tammy's identity. Okay. Tammy panicked and took several measures to try to protect herself. Now, let me stop right there for a second, because, girl, once we read all of this paperwork and we see all of this that's going on, it's not hard to figure out who CS1 is. It's not hard. And it looks like the public has already figured it out. Okay? Those materials included contacting the undersigned magistrate judge, whose chambers referred Tammy to the United States Attorney's Office, and driving several hours to Louisiana soon after learning about the court's filing to attempt to see Big Meech to try to explain her position and try to deflect any accusations coming Tammy's way. Although it appears that Tammy did not speak with Big Meech in Louisiana on March 6th, Tammy's hearing testimony suggested that when Tammy did finally speak with Meech, he advised Tammy he didn't want his name caught up in this mess. In addition to Tammy's perception that she was in danger, Because of the revelations, Agent Davidson's credibly testified that Tammy faced actual threats in the weeks and months following the court filings in March of 2015 through the time of the Franks hearing. So again, I ask y'all, who do you think was threatening her? In a further attempt to protect herself, in the spring of 2015, Tammy stated in a draft affidavit that the wiretap affidavit contained false information and outlined a different version of events from what is set out in the affidavit. Now she's trying to clean it up to protect herself, but it's too late. Tammy never signed the draft affidavit or swore to it, but Tammy relayed some of the information in the unsworn affidavit to Cuffy's formal counsel. So she's trying to reach out to Cuffy's lawyers to retract what she already did, to try to protect herself and to try to get Meech's name up out of it. So she reached out to Cuffy's former lawyer, DEA agents, and prosecutors from the U.S. Attorney's Office in St. Louis. Also, threatened to circulate the unsworn affidavit to all parties involved, including the undersigned. Tammy's unsworn affidavit specifically takes issue with statements in the wiretap affidavit suggesting that Meech hooked up the deal between Gatling and Suarez. She trying to get that taken out. But you can't. It's too late. Too late to apologize. It's too late. Okay, I'm sorry. I can't sing for nothing. But anyway, the unsworn affidavit suggested instead that Agent Cromer implicated Big Meech because he was jealous of Big Meech's relationship with Tammy. This backdrop of actual and perceived threats of Tammy's demise threats to Tammy diminishes the credibility of Tammy's testimony and instead very strongly suggests that perhaps due to Tammy's personal and business relationship, as well as out of concerns for her own safety and the safety of Big Meech, Tammy had lost my place. Tammy had an incentive to attempt to distance Big Meech from Suarez and Gatling. Sorry, I'm getting an Amber Alert. It's setting everything off. Okay. Now, we're going to go to the events that happened on August 5th of 2012. Hold on. Before we get into those events, let me just say this. If you decide that you want to become a CI and you decide to put yourself out there, never think yourself too smart that you're going to be able to hide from people putting puzzle pieces together. Not only that, when you have people that are involved in this case that are able to make the connections between you and other people, not just this case, any case, when there's outside people involved in that case, don't ever be naive into thinking that people won't put the pieces together because they have